On this episode of Quest to Dose, the comeback for the comeback for the comeback for the comeback episode. I feel like we say that every single time now, Dave, because it takes us 9.5 months to do another episode. But we're
Tune
here
in
again.
next time for our next comeback episode.
Yeah, seriously. We're here again. And we have another full slate. We talk about NCAA football coming back. EA Sports has brought them back. I'm hype. David's a Debbie Downer. We talk about Attack on Titan ending their manga this summer. The anime's on its final season. Talk about that and what we think the anime should do at this point. Talk about Harvard Astrology Chair says the aliens visited us in 2017. And there's a lot of fun stuff about that. If you haven't paid attention to aliens yet, let's start doing it, people. We talk about the Brooklyn Nets and how they hate defense. We talk about Deshaun Watson and his whole entire trade trilogy or saga, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know why trilogy. I've been stuck on Star Wars. Everything's a trilogy there.
Yeah, really.
And then we talk about the Jets because we're fanboy Jets and we're hopeful and we're going to get our hearts ripped out because that's the Jets. So again, without any further ado, hope everyone enjoys the show. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, if you've been listening for a little while, you know what's up. Quest to Dose. We're here whenever we damn well please.
It's a thing. I don't have a webcam, though.
He doesn't, so we're not doing there's going to be no video for this one. It's just going to be only audio. We're going to save the world of My Ugly Mug, but we also don't give the world the update on David's hair, which is really, really sad. David?
I mean, it's slightly longer than it was last time.
So anyway, Dave, how are you? How's everything going? How's your life? Last time we talked, the Nets didn't have a big three. The Jets didn't have a head coach. The Mets were in a team of sexual predators. What's going on?
I know.
There was a lot that went on since we last had the show.
Nothing much. Just growing out my hair and working. That's all I'm doing.
So, we talk. You play in a cornhole league, don't you? I don't think people know that about you.
Yes, I do. I play every Wednesday.
Do you suck?
I'm not great, but it's also because the people that go and play a lot. They play. I don't know if anyone listening plays a lot of cornhole, and if you do, you're probably really good, and it's scary to witness.
So do you guys play by the ESPN Cornhole Championships rules and everything like that? Because cornhole has become a thing. ESPN, every once in a while, you see the Cornhole Championships of America just pop up randomly on ESPN.
Yeah. We don't make it that serious. Right now, we're using, it's called Scoreholio. It's an app to keep track of your cornhole scores. And they have a TV. It's actually a nice setup, but we're doing a round robin thing. And we do, the rules of cornhole, but it's laid back. They drink and you play. And
I was going to say, is it a beer in hand league?
No, you don't have to have a beer in hand,
okay.
But you can have a beer in hand. In fact, they actually have little stands where you can put your beer as well.
Very nice. So would anyone listening to the podcast know who your teammate is? Who's on your team?
Probably I have John.
John who?
Then Natoli. Why would I'm not giving too many last. No, I can't.
I mean,
John Natoli, Kyle Burns, and Alex Schultz.
Very nice. Well, we've had Kyle Burns has been on the Sports Opinions podcast. So if you've listened to that, you know who Kyle is, but that's cool. They're friends of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so anything else new with you, Dave? How's work? How's life? How's how's any snow? Did you guys get destroyed like we did in New York?
We got about 3 inches. That's all we got. And I'm perfectly fine with it.
Take your 3 and add anywhere from 15 to 18, and you got what we got in Poughkeepsie. It's miserable.
Yeah, I don't want to. I really don't.
Yeah. Updates on me. So I finally finished the Fate of the Jedi book series, all 9 books. It was fantastic. And I let out a tweet to give the author some props. Unfortunately, Aaron Alston, who is one of the authors, passed away in 2014. But 2 other ones, and Aaron Alston wrote a ton of Extended Universe, Legends, Star Wars books.
Mm-hmm.
But Troy Denning and Christy Golden are still around, still doing their thing. And Christy Golden liked my tweet. So how cool
awesome.
is that?
That's sweet.
And she's one of the major authors that has wrote a ton of Star Wars stuff. And I'm pretty sure, her vision is so good, Disney's going to grab her because she's one of the people that built the Star Wars universe that fans like. So they would be smart to grab her.
Yeah.
But yeah, That's my biggest life achievement right now. And I'm currently listening to Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life. So
sweet. That's a good time.
Oh my God. Just listening to a ton of stuff. And I have Dune waiting in the outskirts. So switching back and forth. My life is hectic as always.
Yeah, that's expected.
But anyway, so let's jump into our meat and potatoes of this show, Dave. We are starting off with some hype.
Well, yes, some hype, but I'm also going to be a bit of a Debbie Downer as well. So just today, the day that we are recording, February 2nd of 2021, EA put out a tweet saying, "Your waiting has accomplished, you've waited long enough.
If you were a true believer the whole time."
If you were a true believer, yeah. NCAA football is coming back to be played on Xbox, PS5, and probably PC as well, because why wouldn't they? Now,
poor Switch.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I am hyped because I do love the NCAA football games. But the state of Madden and of EA draws me back a little bit from the hype. I'm going to need to see what is in the game and see if they're still using Frostbite as an engine.
Now, explain not to me, to everybody, what you are currently doing to basically fill the need for NCAA football in your life currently.
So currently, I am playing what is basically a souped up NCAA Football 14 on my PC, on my very new PC. And it's called College Football Revamped. It's done by a bunch of guys in the NCAA community. They're awesome. They put this whole thing together. It's all the uniforms, all the ESPN logos. Everything looks nice. The Dynasty, it's like the 2020 season. Everyone on the roster is actually in college football. like it's the full roster is everything. And they update it too. And in fact, they're still updating it. They're trying to find a way to get the college football playoffs in there now. But I love it. It's so much fun. And you could do it on an Xbox and a PS3 as well. If you have the game still, it's not entirely difficult. And I just love doing it because it makes me feel good to play a football game again.
So everybody, please don't be a tattletale. Don't tell on David, because that would be really mean of you.
What are you talking about? Tell me for what?
Exactly. Anyway, so what I want from this, and I explained this already in the group of our friends, I don't give a damn about anything else unless they, if they give me a dynasty mode. They can do whatever they want. They can bring their stupid ultimate team from Madden. They can do, I don't need any coordinators. I don't care who the head coach is, to be quite honest. I just want dynasty mode. If you can give me dynasty mode, what did I say? I said dynasty mode, a proper triple option, and inaccurate quarterbacks. That's all I need, because that's college football. If you can give me that, and I can sit there and I can take Rutgers and make them into a powerhouse just to switch and go and do UTEP and make UTEP a power. I don't care. I just like making small schools that suck get good. And dynasty mode was the funnest way to do that. That's all I need, Dave.
And I completely understand you. I completely agree for the most part. My whole thing is if they care about this dynasty mode as much as EA has cared about franchise and Madden, you may think you want it. But once you start playing the game, after like maybe a month, I'll give it a month, you'll be like, why am I playing this nonsense? And see, that's what worries me. Like I said, I'm very hype. I love the college football games. I love the dynasty mode. It's a ton of fun. Right now I'm playing as Air Force, and I'm trying to make them good. But we have to see what happens. They said 2 to 3 years, so they're going to trickle out things. You never know. It could be another team in EA that has a lot more leniency saying, oh, we're jumping back into NCAA football. Let's make this game good.
I mean, Dave, if they have a good Tiny Turtles logo and you can make the Trenton Tiny Turtles, do you need anything else really?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming they would come back with Team Builder. I mean, why wouldn't you put Team Builder back? So you could do that online or connect it to the new NCAA game and make your own team.
And I really believe right now, I feel like the biggest hitch, and it's never, so in terms of graphic wise, they've always basically taken the year before's Madden and used their graphics. So it's not the current Madden updated, it's the year before that Madden. So it's like good graphics, not great. That's the way NCAA games have always been. They've been this step back in terms of quality. what I think is holding up now is they probably are really trying to hash out the words and the legalese of a deal to get the players paid on their likeness, because players in college can now be paid on their likeness, but they're technically not supposed to use the school to get themselves paid. They're not supposed to directly affiliate themselves with the school. So in order for this to come back, there has to be an agreement there. And since players can get paid, there has to be leniency, and there's going to be a lot of gymnastics legally. And that's probably what's holding them up in the 2 to 3 years. I don't think it's graphics wise. I don't think it's, anything like that. It's going to be, okay, are we going to put players' names in here? Do we have to put every single player's name in here? Do we only going to put the stars in here? How much are they going to get paid per sold copy? What is their revenue share? Because we're getting into revenue sharing here with all these guys, especially the big names that come out.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. That's probably a ton of what they're doing right now. And honestly, good for them. I just want a good game. Genuinely, I just want a good game. And that's why I'm playing NCAA 14 right now, basically. Like, that's why I'm probably going to end up getting All Pro Football 2K8. I just want a very good football game.
Which we have been deprived of for a long time. But speaking of depravity, Dave, we're about to be deprived of easily one of the best series of all time. Attack on Titan, I think is, you can't argue that it came in with the bang, and unlike a lot of other manga, a lot of other anime that come in with this big bang that completely fizzle out and lose their way, Attack on Titan has found a way to stay. And even though the story has evolved to go from being this big, wow, awesome fights all the time to a very political type of manga, it's been fantastic. And the manga's finally coming to an end this summer. The anime is on its way out. It's having its final season. Dave, I really think that they should pull the plug on the final season of the anime, see the way the manga ends, and see if they can really try to coordinate this better.
Yeah, I mean, they could. Unfortunately, I haven't kept up with Attack on Titan as much as I should have. In fact, I just started reading the manga again just to catch up with everything, especially since it's going to end soon.
Yep.
And honestly, just reading it again reminds me of how good it is. And I can somewhat agree that maybe they should hesitate a little bit, but they already made the commitment to say this is the final season. That's it. We're going to end it here. And I don't disagree. Maybe
I don't think any fans will be mad at them. I don't think any fans will be mad at them because you know what? I think they initially did it thinking that the manga was going to go on longer. And it's like, okay, let's end our role here and let them go. But now that it's over and we're going to get a conclusion of the battle between Marley and Eldia, we need to, I don't know. We need to see that in anime form because the anime has been just as good as the manga. And it's another rare thing that many things don't capture. So we'd be robbed if they don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to end the anime and then the manga is going to end. It's going to be good either way. That's my whole thing. I feel like it's going to be good either way. So I can't entirely complain.
So are we going to see, because one of the things I think Attack on Titan definitely spread itself apart is we've never seen anything truly like it. A lot of manga anime, you can definitely point to things that are almost exactly like them, that they took influences from, and they can still be great even though the influences are from there. But AOT has kind of been its own baby. What do we think? Are we going to get a lot of imitations here, or is this going to kind of be something where we wait 10 to 20 years before someone even tries to? Because it's been a masterpiece, Dave.
I mean, just the concept of being put in situations where any type of victory, any type of hope seems lost, and then something happens where there might be a slim chance of hope and there's a big mystery. We've seen, like, we'll see that in manga again, 100%. It's just the way that it's written. Attack on Titan, the way that's written, and honestly, how beautiful the anime was when it first came out. Like, the animation was incredible.
And the
when it
theme
first
songs
came, exactly
so good.
When it first came out, the animation was so damn good that it made everyone watch at least the first episode. And that's what really put it apart from other anime. It's just, this is beautiful. You should at least watch the first episode. And it's the same thing that basically got people into Demon Slayer at first. Like Demon Slayer has a different style of animation, style of drawing, so that it just looks gorgeous when you watch like an episode of it.
Now, Dave, I don't know how far you've completely gotten into it, but I'm going to kind of do a spoiler without a true spoiler.
That's fine. For me, at least.
In terms of, and I'm warning people, it's a spoiler without a true spoiler. I'm not going to name names. I'm going to make it pretty vague, but you don't often see what Attack on Titan did, where they've introduced us to a group of protagonists in the Survey Corps. And pretty much Eren Yeager is the main guy, but there's equal footing with Mikasa and what do you call Arlen and Armin. Yeah. And a lot of people in there that they introduce you to. Mm-hmm. The way that it turns in the second half, I want to say, or maybe the later part of the second half of the manga, where one of those main protagonists becomes the main antagonist. And now you're fighting, you're basically watching a 3 to 4 front battle that occurs because one of the main protagonists becomes an antagonist on top of the already. It's like there's a whole bunch of things, and it's so geopolitical and it's so kind of true to life, where there's never one clear cut enemy. There's never one clear cut motive, one clear cut anything. Yeah. Everyone kind of has their own concept of what's good and what's good, what's wrong, what's evil. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And, it's a sophisticated manga, but they do it in such a good way where there's enough gore to keep the child in you happy too.
Yeah, no, that's basically what it is. I don't know. Listen, if you're into anime, you probably like Attack on Titan. That's one of the anime that I haven't seen, and most people diss whenever I see like anything about anime. They'll make fun of Dragon Ball Z, they'll make fun of Naruto, they'll make fun of everything except for like Attack on Titan.
If you see a Survey Corps logo anywhere, you're like, hell yeah, badass.
Yeah. Most of the time, people just don't make fun of it because they know it's good. and there's no reason to really make fun of it at all.
No, there is not, Dave. So let's I'm hoping that they pull the plug. You're probably right. They're not going to pull the plug on the final season, but I'm waiting because I have on my phone, I have an app that I read it on, and I wait with bated breath every time when I see the little new logo in there, and I just right away, I don't care where I am, I open it up, and it's like I'll ignore my kids. I'll be like, "I take care of yourselves. I got to read this." But no, that's a lie. Please don't take my kids away. I love them very much. But okay, Dave, let's go on to something else before I.
All right, so something else that's really mystifying, like what you just said. We're going to move on to something that we have both heard of recently. And the fact of the matter is that there are things that people aren't talking about that they should be talking about. That's mainly what this topic is going to be. Now, I feel like you actually have it a little wrong, Alex, because I heard more about this. Okay. So in 2017, one of our, I'm going to say telescopes, I can't remember the name, more like observatory, but it had caught something basically flinging off the sun.
Yep.
That wasn't exactly a comet. It didn't have a comet's tail, and it didn't seem like any kind of rock, and it was very shiny. We have no idea what it was. It didn't seem to be moving based on the physics of what we know.
Yep, and regular propulsion off the sun.
Exactly. Now, a Harvard astrophysicist has said, listen, this could be one of two things, or one of a couple things. But one, it could be extraterrestrial. We have no idea, because this is something we haven't seen before. Or two, we could just have our physics wrong on Earth. And maybe we just don't know why it's moving the way it is. Now, we have seen something that wasn't a comet or a rock like this before, but we managed to recognize it was one of the things that we put up before. It was one of our space junk. But this seemed to be space junk that we have never seen before. And I've only heard this in certain areas. I haven't really seen this on Twitter or anywhere else. And maybe that's just me not in the right circles. But I feel like something like this should be really talked about a lot, because let's say it's not aliens. Let's go off that, even though we like talking about that. Let's say it's not. Yeah. Let's say we have our physics wrong. That says a lot for us. That says a lot for science. That makes science a lot more fun, honestly, to me, because there's so much more to explore and so much more to find out. Now, give me your take on this, because I know you You kind of put it in here as if it was mainly, I'm going to go off the alien path. Let's go off the alien path and say this is something fun that we should talk about and figure out.
Yep. I'm actually going to unpack both of yours because I didn't hear about the physics side, and I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is aliens, as a human race, especially as Americans, we need to really start paying attention to this.
Yeah.
Because this is now within the last 2 years of like the fifth occurrence of basically confirmation of aliens. Confirmation of being visited constantly over the last 20 years, with the Pentagon opening things up, with the Senate and Marco Rubio leading the way. They're basically making demands on every single major intelligence organization that has to release everything on extraterrestrial life. Yeah. The Pentagon's already planning on releasing a ton of this. And now it's being forced. Why the hell are we forcing our intelligence agencies to do this? It makes no sense to bring this upon a population in America that is already going, lack of a better terms, batshit. We are sitting inside in a pandemic, going nuts. We absolutely hate each other. So let's now let everybody know that aliens are going to come and fuck us up. Like, why are we doing this, Dave? Like, there has to be a reason for it. If it is aliens, and if they did probe us again in 2017 and came off the sun in an irregular pattern, number one, they can go near the sun and not get burned and die.
Yeah.
They can withstand the heat and the pressure that we know exists and the extremely strong gravitational pull of the sun. That's number one. That's scary as hell. Number two, they're just probing. And what do we do militarily when we're planning something? We send scouts. We do recon. We constantly look. We see what their defenses are. We plan ahead. What I've seen, Dave, and what we've heard, we talked about basically how their ships show up in the middle of our top secret dogfight training areas that nobody knows, just kind of sit in the middle, float around a few times in weird ways, taunt our planes, basically say, checkmate to everything you idiots know. Don't try a thing. And they leave. And now this, if it is aliens, this needs to be the biggest story. Not Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, not our Senate, not Myanmar right now causing a coup d'etat. All of our little human crap going on our little anthill should probably stop. And we should probably come together for 5 minutes to go, who cares? Unless the lizard people really are leading us and they're about to just pop up and go, hi, guys. That's about it. Like, we could be screwed as we know it if we don't start paying attention to this. Your second point. If this is just physics, God, we have a lot to go through. That means that so many guys not necessarily were wrong, but what they believed, we'd have to erase all of our laws on physics. If that is the case, we have a few physics laws. They probably aren't real. We'd have to reconsider gravity 100% and what it is. It would be probably the most groundbreaking astronomical thing our scientists have had to deal with since we figured out that we weren't the center of the universe. Like, it would be that big. So I don't know. Both of them are massive. The first one is scary as hell. The second one's kind of cool. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair way to look at it. I don't know. I just enjoy talking about these things because they really get the imagination out of us as to what in the heck could that possibly be. And our world and our universe is so strange that we sometimes don't sit back and just think about these things. That could be a lot of fun. It could be a little horrifying sometimes, but you need to think about them.
Maybe Elon Musk is right. Get us to Mars. Who cares if it's a big red ball of stupid that we die if we take the helmet off of? We might be safer there. But who knows? Maybe if they go, the aliens will come and just slap them back to Earth and just go, no.
Maybe.
Not allowed to go there. Now, speaking of something that seemingly people aren't allowed to do, the Brooklyn Nets apparently don't like defense. They're not allowed to play it. Since we last spoke, the Nets did not have James Harden. We were talking about Kyrie, KD, how they'd work. They made a trade to bring James Harden in from the Rockets. They gave up Karis LeVert. They gave up Jared Allen. They gave up Torian Prince and Rody Kurucs and a ton of picks. It's reminiscent of the Boston trade, but James Harden was coming in, apparently just left the fat suit in Houston.
Definitely did.
He wore a fat suit, which is the funniest thing in the history of funny. And came
Not
in.
Confirmed, but definitely assumed.
100% did. Looks the part in Brooklyn. He's been, to me, since he's come over there, he's taken over this basketball team. It's his team. He's the leader of the team. He runs the offense. Looks like he's trying on defense sometimes, but there's the problem. He doesn't play defense. Kyrie doesn't play defense. Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, and Kevin Durant play defense on this basketball team. Nobody else. Joe Harris gives effort, but he has 2 left feet. The Nets don't play defense, and everyone's thinking that they're the best team in the East right now. The Celtics and the Bucks will eat their lunch in a 7-game series and beat them in 6 if they don't show up this defense. It's a huge problem, Dave.
Now, I get that. I do. I get that. But it is much easier to shore up a defense than it is to shore up an offense. Because what is most needed in defense? Just a lot of effort and grit. And we've gotten more people on the team now. Well, they're going to come back soon. Norvell Pell is going to play for us soon. He's a big that's gritty. We're going to have Iman Shumpert. He's a gritty guy. So we're trying to do our little things. But we also have the highest offensive efficiency in the league.
Let me contrast this real quick. They just lost to the Wizards after scoring 146 points.
I get that. But you look at every single loss we have, it's against bad teams, which is not good. We just don't lose really to good teams. And that's one of the things that you don't mind seeing, because you can always shore these things up. You can always shore those up. It's a long season, my man. So,
yeah, it's only 72 games this year, though.
Yeah, but still, it's 72 games. So I'm not that worried, really. The defense, yeah, you need to be better. You need to be a lot better. But I feel like we're going to be fine.
Now, another thing that concerns me, and you'll probably be more on the fine. I'm leaning more towards that we're going to be okay. But right now, the big 3 of Harden, Durant, and Kyrie are all playing damn near 35 plus minutes a game right now, if not closer to 38. I think James Harden is averaging 38 minutes a game. You cannot, especially with Kevin Durant coming off of his injuries, Kyrie Irving's injury prone, Steve Nash needs to figure something out. He needs to figure out the bench guys that he wants to put in, trust them, and let them play. Right now, we're seeing guys be overworked too much, I think, and it does scare me that I know these guys love to play and they want to be in, but towards the end of the season in the playoffs, after All-Star break, when it becomes a real grind, the Nets are going to need to be healthy. They really need to find trust. I don't believe in Landry Shamet. I think he's streaky. He shoots literally every time he catches the ball. I'm not a fan of that guy. I liked him initially when he was coming in. Now he's kind of he's on the fence with me. He needs to figure out guys he can trust, Dave. I think Nash will get it together, but it is kind of concerning seeing the high minutes that he's playing and the lack of trust he puts on the bench guys.
Yeah, no, I get that. But I just think like I said before, we'll see it shored up. We'll see them getting less minutes. I mean, honestly, you think about it, that one person who definitely wants to be out there the most is probably KD, because he's been gone for so long. And even though he's been playing so damn great even afterwards, like, he's going to want to be out there. These guys are going to want to be out there and get their chemistry together, get it going. Honestly, I'm waiting for them to really stagger them a lot more, stagger them on the floor with their minutes. And really, I mean, I'm trusting a lot of guys like Bruce Brown, because Bruce Brown comes in and he makes an immediate impact off the bench. Great defense, just a ton of hustle. You can see Reggie Perry's gotten his confidence up a little bit. So we're gonna get a lot of the bench guys up off the bench soon, I'm assuming, because you can't just run these guys to the ground. And Nash knows that. They know that. They're going to be taking either games, maybe a game off, or just less minutes at one point.
100%. And you talked to Reggie Perry. Reggie Perry is basically the only rookie, the only guy without true experience on this whole roster.
Yeah.
Brown's a third-year guy, but Brown has played. So that's a little bit concerning to me, is that Nash isn't getting more trust in guys that have real experience. You have Tyler Johnson, who doesn't play, who was a starter in Miami for a little bit, and then a rotation guy. Landry Shamet started for a good Clippers team at a good for a high rate. You have guys that it's weird that he's not trusting these guys who are legitimate bona fide professionals who have played in big situations. And I just think he needs to kind of, if we're going to lose games against bad teams, it should be because our bench is trying to figure themselves out. It shouldn't be because you played the big three 38, 39, 40 minutes and still lost. That to me is a concern. I'm not a fan of that.
No, I get that. I completely get that. And let's not forget this is Nash's first year coaching. So for some reason, we decided to do this for first year coaching.
He has D'Antoni and Jacques Vaughn there that should be able to 100% coach him in the right direction. And I guarantee he's giving both of those guys leeway to kind of tug on him and go, hey, come on now. You know what you got to do.
Yeah.
Roll them out. It's okay. It's the rhythm of the game. Bring them out.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said before, we'll see this more and more in the season. Don't forget, we're still not even that like far into the season. Like we're going to be much farther into the season, probably saying better things about them.
You know, Dave, I love your optimism. Your optimism's eternal for the Nets right now. But Dave, where the hell are you on the Jets? Let's jump into our next topic, which is Jet centric, but not. And the last one's
it's not really Jet centric. It's about Deshaun Watson. The fact that Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston Texans, and the fact that he deserves every single reason to want out of the Houston Texans. I remember when Matthew Stafford decided, "Hey, I want to be out of the Detroit Lions." I said, I remember I said this in our group. I said, Matthew Stafford has been through more franchise pain than Deshaun Watson, but they're both completely understanding in their want out of the organizations that they want out of. Deshaun Watson has not been treated well in Houston. Obviously, you got rid of his best target. You promised him things like, hey, we'll include you in this GM search. And you know what? They don't need to, but if you're going to tell your star player, we'll include you in it, and you don't, that's going to rub them the wrong way. So, and the whole chronicle of Jack Easterby and the Houston Texans organization seems very interesting, but we don't need to go into that.
We could have a whole podcast about that.
Exactly. That probably plays a role, but I don't know. I'm not going to divulge too much into that. But Deshaun Watson wants out. Many teams would give their soul for Deshaun Watson right now because he can very arguably be a top 5 QB in the league. 100%. And one of the teams that wants him is our Jets. Now, there's been a ton of rumors going around. One of them was his top 2 teams are either Jets or Dolphins. I've seen things about the Panthers. I've seen things about the Bears. I don't know.
The Patriots that put their names in the hat.
The Patriots, exactly. Every team that doesn't have a franchise QB is calling about Deshaun Watson, and rightfully so, because why wouldn't you? So Deshaun has a no-trade clause on his contract, and basically he is going to decide where he wants to go. The Texans can like their offer, but he's going to decide where he wants to go. And I know the Texans have some leverage on Watson. I mean,
guess he just signed a 4-year extension, so they have a ton of leverage if they want to be jerks.
The thing is, yes, you have that leverage in a sense, but if you're going to do that to your franchise QB, who you've already ruined, not ruined, but you've already made angry with you, good luck getting another star free agent or another good player to play for you. Because even J.J. Watt wants out. So you do not do that. You don't flex muscle here. Don't do it. It is a trap. It is a trap to do that.
It's funny because it looks like the Lions have kind of learned that lesson where they trapped Barry Sanders and didn't let him go to a championship team after 10 years of service. They trapped Calvin Johnson after 10 years of service on that team, not being able to do anything.
Dude.
And it looks like they learned. Matt Stafford said, I want out. And they're like, okay, we're not going to do this to you.
It is not a good thing. It is not a good thing to flex leverage on a player that has given you good things, given you good years, and has not been a problem. If the player has been a real problem in the locker room, a lot of problems outside, like a lot of things going on.
Consummate bro.
Exactly. But if a player has been a problem everywhere, then you can flex leverage a little more because players aren't going to look at it like, oh, I can't go there. They're not going to treat me right. They're going to say, well, I'm not stupid, so they'll probably treat me right. If you do that to someone like Deshaun Watson, players aren't going to want to play for you until there's a change, probably in ownership. And that's the whole thing. Yep. So you don't flex leverage here. Don't do it. It's wrong. You're going to be bad forever.
Now, you mentioned his no trade clause. He's made it openly public that at this point, that he wants, that his desire is to be a part of the Jets, which is outrageous. That he likes, we're going to talk about our new head coach in Robert Saleh. There's a lot of things that he said that completely indicate that he wants to be a member of the New York Jets. Brandon Marshall came out today, I saw on Instagram, did a show where he was, recruiting for the Jets, saying, come here. The fans are great. The city's great. If you're good, you put your head down, you go to work, you be you. Don't be a problem. They'll always have your back, which is true. And I love Brandon Marshall for that. Mm-hmm. But outside of his desires, outside of the no trade clause, which obviously have a factor, but let's kind of play hypotheticals here, that the Houston is just going to send him to his best fit. Who do you think right now that's quarterback needy is his best fit?
So, the teams I know are probably going to move on from quarterbacks. I would probably say the Panthers right now. I think the Panthers could be his best fit. There could be another out there. I'm not really thinking about every single team in the NFL, but I think the Panthers are his best fit. You have CMC there. Their wide receiver core is pretty damn good. I think the most thing you might need to shore up is their offensive line, though I'm not entirely sure how good their offensive line is. It might be just fine already.
Yep.
But, the Panthers would be a great fit for him. He has so many weapons. I think the only thing that may need a little bit of work is the defense, but you could do that if you get Deshaun Watson, especially for multiple years. You can just take time to work on your defense. So I think that might be his best fit.
See, for whatever reason, for me, I think the Broncos would be a fantastic fit for him. They're going to move on from Drew Lock if he's there. Yeah. You have Cortland Sutton there, who's absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. You have a good line there. You have a decent running game. The defense has been stout. Even though Von Miller's in trouble, it's still a good defense over there. Mm-hmm. I feel like he could do a lot of damage there. And also, the Colts are going to need a quarterback. And the Colts showed this year with an aged Phillip Rivers, that's a good football team around him.
Yeah.
They went for it with a very good quarterback. Phil Rivers showed that, he went out kind of on top. He played very well this year. Plug in Deshaun Watson. Not only would it be interesting because it's in division, and that's why it's not going to happen, but you plug him into that team, we're talking about the Colts as Super Bowl contenders, and I'm not even being hyperbole.
No.
So I think those are his best fits. Where does he end up in your eyes? Is he? Oh God,
I can't make that.
Honestly,
I can't make that commitment because I have no idea.
If you're Joe Douglas, what do you give up for him? What is okay after seeing, especially, does the Matt Stafford deal play anything into what you plan on offering?
I have seen multiple things saying the Matt Stafford deal doesn't play into it as much because of Jared Goff's contract and other such things, and I can understand that completely. Also, the fact that Deshaun controls a bunch of this, I think, also plays into it. So, if I'm going off Joe Douglas, I honestly have almost no problem giving away 3 first-rounders. I really don't. Even if you just don't even touch the 23 for this year, just give him 3 for 2 for the future and 1 for our 2 from this year. If you can somehow do that, if you need to give up a defensive personnel, give him John Franklin Myers, give him a good player. But not a great one. Don't give him Quinnen. Don't give him Marcus May. Don't do that. But you can still give him good players off for our defense. Honestly. And I think you do what you need to do to go get Deshaun Watson because he is a player that changes the franchise. He is a player that does that. It's that simple.
Now, what if they keep it simple and they're pretty hard line? They want our first round, our 2 first-round picks this year, a future second rounder, and Quinnen. Do you do that for Deshaun Watson? Do you give up a nose tackle at a breakout year, 2 potentially very good guys that can help your team, a core guy for next year, to get a Deshaun Watson or something in that manner where they're asking for a sign and trade with Marcus May because we need to re-sign Marcus May, but they're asking for a sign and trade. Do you give up one of our bona fide defensive guys to get a guy who can maybe make up for what we lack in certain areas?
Honestly, for that, no. Even though I love Deshaun Watson, but we need to keep our core young guys there. Like I said, Quinnen and Marcus. Quinnen's going to be great. I know Salo really wants to play with him, and the reason why I can say no is because we have the number 2, and I'm okay with Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, whoever we pick there. I'm okay with that. I think we can work just fine with that, especially in a LaFleur offense. So for me, you just need to keep those guys. And honestly, I really don't think the Texans are going to be that hard line on it. I'm not going to lie to you. I just don't think they are.
So you mentioned the Dolphins. I'm throwing things around here. You mentioned the Dolphins. One of our very own In the Opinions podcast network, Colton Gesser, had Lee Steinberg on a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And if people don't know, Lee Steinberg is basically, if you liked Entourage, he's the Ari Gold of agents in sports. He is.
He's not. I don't think his attitude is like that, though.
Lee seems like a very nice, mild man.
Exactly.
But in terms of his clientele, he is Patrick Mahomes' agent. He's Tua Tagovailoa's agent. He's James Robinson's agent. If you could think of a great player, he's probably their agent or has been. He was Big Ben's agent when he got signed in the draft room. He has guys. Kareem Hunt is his guy. So Lee Steinberg is a legitimate guy, and I'm super proud of Colton for getting an interview with him. Mm-hmm. But he asked him this question on Personal Foul Podcast. Basically, what does he make of all the talk of Tua for Deshaun? And Lee Steinberg essentially squashed it on the show. He said, one of his quotes, I'm kind of paraphrasing, you could play match game, put all the names in the hat that you want, but at the end of the day, the Dolphins got who they wanted in the draft. They knew he was going to be a little bit of a project, but from what they've seen from him over this past year and what they see from him every single day, they're happy with their pick. Now, things change, but from that, that's about as definitive I've ever heard an agent say on something like this. Usually they're kind of, our guy's good. He's in a good place right now. I really am not going to comment on that. But Lee came out right away and said, nah, I don't think this is happening. Tua staying put. What do you think of that, Dave?
See, I didn't think Tua had a great rookie season, but that's fine. He's a rookie. You kind of expect that from rookies unless they're incredible. So I just don't see many teams going away from someone who they think is their guy, especially after just their rookie year. You picked up Tua in order to be your franchise guy. And, I mean, I don't know exactly how much the Dolphins are willing to also give up for Deshaun, because I don't think the Texans are just going to want Tua in the pick. Honestly, I don't think that they're going to just want that for Deshaun. So how much, as the Dolphins, are you willing to give up? Because you guys are definitely a playoff team. But how long do you want to be a playoff team? I don't know. It's really tough to get a read on that. I just don't think it'll happen, mainly because most of the time you don't see teams move on from someone after their rookie year like that.
I agree. Again, shout out Colton Gesser, Personal Foul Podcast, making the Opinions Podcast Network proud. Thank you for everything that you do. Mm-hmm. We're going to jump into our last topic, which kind of melds with this one. Our New York Football Jets. Again, last time we recorded, Dave, we didn't have a head coach, and now we do.
Yep.
We also want to talk about something interesting, which is we're going to jump off the top with. We kind of mentioned on the side back in a few episodes about how basically Joe Douglas told Manish Mehta to go kick rocks. And since then, Manish Mehta has been released from his job at the New York Daily News. And he's kind of in a downward spiral. One of our friends posted up something that he might possibly be involved in some stuff in South Jersey in terms of sexual allegations. I don't know if that's true or not here. If I was going in Manish fashion, I would say it's bona fide true. Manish Mehta is the worst human being on the planet, but we're not going to do that here. We're better than Manish Mehta. But you brought up a fun point that throughout Manish Mehta's time as a beat writer for the New York Jets, he has done only damage. He never really was a positive force. He didn't talk about any positives, especially when the Jets went to back-to-back championships. You would think that they were the most dysfunctional group of people of all time if you read Manish Mehta's writing on them. What type of damage has he done, pretty permanent or not, to the Jets throughout his time as a beat writer at the New York Daily News?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the question that we got to ask, because honestly, would Rex have stayed? That's one of the main questions. Would Rex have stayed? Because think about it. If you don't have that much damage coming from one of your main news outlets on your team, things might look a lot differently. Now, obviously, this is all the speculation.
Yep.
Depending on how things would have went. Maybe it would have went just the same way, just without as much news. But it's just wild to think that he might have had a huge effect on what the Jets franchise could have been. And I mean, he was there with Todd Bowles as well. Like, who knows what more could have happened with Todd.
Sure he started right around Mangini's time. So it's been like that long.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm pretty sure he disparaged Mangini when Mangini was there. So it's not like he hasn't been doing this. Now, you bring up Rex and, you have to bring up Mark Sanchez in that.
Yeah.
Because one of the people that put immense amounts of pressure on Mark Sanchez with the things that he wrote in terms of how they feel internally about him, what he's doing every night in his personal life and things like that was Manish Mehta. He amplified Mark Sanchez's woes. And you have to think that, would Mark Sanchez have been a better quarterback mentally? Would he have been able to stick it out longer? Would he not have grown his hair out and looked so awful towards the end of his career at the Jets if Manish Mehta wasn't doing what Manish does? It's crazy to think that a beat writer had this much power, but with how negative he was and how many times you've seen the locker room or heard the locker room start having to answer questions about nonsense that this guy wrote.
Yep.
It had to have an impact on the franchise. And how does Woody Johnson allow this to happen as long as he did under his tenure is another mystery to me.
Yeah, it's wild. And honestly, it's just, obviously it's in the past now, but it's just really annoying. And honestly, I think we're really being given a reward for going through it in Robert Saleh. I really feel that way. I feel like we're being given a gift for going through that pain in Robert Saleh. Because
I think you like Robert Saleh. So what do you like about the new Jets head coach? He was the former 49ers defensive coordinator. Nothing but praise. Nothing.
Yes.
Praise so far from everyone, which happened with Todd Bowles, which definitely gives me some pause.
So,
but
what I like about him, what I said last time, I'm pretty sure on this podcast, what I said the last podcast, was what the Jets need is a CEO type of head coach. Someone who's not going to try to take control of one side more than the other. Someone who's going to mainly manage, because that's what you do as a head. You manage a lot because it's a lot to handle there.
Yep.
And you let your offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators do their job. And Robert Saleh looks like he's going to be exactly that type of person. I love his energy. I love the culture he wants to bring into that clubhouse. And I love the staff he's getting together. I just feel like it feels right. He really gives off the energy that it feels right. And that's one thing that you didn't really get from Todd Bowles. Not hating on Todd Bowles. I love Todd Bowles. But he's a breadstick of a man. He doesn't
favorite term.
He doesn't show much emotion. And for some people that might be great, but that can bring you down when it gets bad. If you don't get much emotion. I mean, I don't know what he was like in the locker room, but at least on the sidelines and to us fans, he wasn't very emotional. Now we see him showing out as a D coordinator in Tampa Bay, and I love that. Love that. But for us,
San Francisco.
Excuse me?
You said Tampa Bay, San Francisco.
No, I was talking about Todd Bowles.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Saleh. I was like,
no.
No, he's doing great in Tampa.
Yeah, exactly. But what I feel like we needed, especially in New York, is a guy with energy. Listen, Rex Ryan brought us 2 AFC championships. Guy with energy. He was a little bit bombastic. Robert Saleh doesn't seem to be that like bombastic type of guy. He brings energy. He brings the passion, but he's very refined about it. And I feel like that'll work for us. I really do. Now, it could be next season, and I could be saying something a little different. But right now, I feel like we got the right guy and the best coach in the whole process this offseason.
The last time I felt this excited about a coach coming to the Jets, I was 10. And it was Bill Parcells. I'm not even kidding. It was when Bill Parcells, I believe it was 98 is when he came to the Jets. He drafted Keyshawn.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was like 96. I might have been 8, but I did love sports. I already knew football. I was already a Jets fan.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't born yet, I don't think, when
not.
Parcells was the head coach.
I was not.
And that is the last time I felt this good about a head coach. I liked Rex because of his defensive stuff, but I was unsure he was ever going to be able to coach a team, like you said.
Yeah.
I loved Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards had the bombasticness, but another guy who I don't know if he was able to coach a team, a very good defensive coach. He's grown over time. He's doing a great job at Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time when he was a young coach, we had some great wins under him.
Yep.
But I don't know if he was able to coach a team. The only other guy that's like him that was kind of a good manager of men was Eric Mangini. But Mangini was another breadstick who kind of floundered. I love your term. I'm using it. And, you know, and the whole entire Spygate stuff and everything, it just didn't look good that he was kind of trying to get back at Belichick for whatever reason.
Yeah.
He just went down with a bad look and left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I like Saleh, like you said, and our cousin Dan Portaways, who I've had on the Sports Opinions podcast, he's a massive 49ers fan. And when we got him and started picking apart the San Francisco 49ers coaching staff, like half of Kyle Shanahan's staff has come over with Saleh. So that says a lot about him. But he basically said, he was like, yeah, thanks for taking our best coach. Like flat out, it's like, it's not even Shanahan. He's like, thanks for taking our best coach and our best offensive mind. Much appreciated. And it's like, that makes you feel good. It's rare that you get to feel good as a Jets fan. And now, you know, going back to our last topic, we're in the running for Deshaun Watson. The fact that he wants to be a Jet is bizarre. We're talking about possibly going out and getting Allen Robinson in free agency. And we seem to have a legitimate shot that he's interested as well. Is bizarre. This has the Brooklyn Nets feel to it, Dave. It's really weird, you know, and it seems to be, you know, what teams can't figure out. Get a good GM, get a good coach. People want to play for you.
Yep.
And it seems like what the Jets have figured out. And I'm excited for it. I mentioned Allen Robinson. Dave, do you have any other free agents that you would kind of want to see the Jets snag?
Well, I feel like we're already going to get Richard Sherman the way he's been talking about it. So I feel like we're already going to get him.
I feel like we're going to get a veteran's discount on him too. I think he would come play for quite literally. If we just kind of offered him a free stay in a hotel every night in the city, he'd be like, all right, cool. I don't need a real salary. I made it.
He's been like the best recruiter for us for Deshaun right there. So I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah.
But there's so many free agents out there. I'm not certain on a single one.
What about a Juju? Have you kind of soured on Juju with kind of his antics where, you know,
it's not about his antics. I just like Juju. He's not a number one. That's my thing. I just don't think Juju's a number one. So he could help the team 100%, but we need more of like a number one, unless Mims can get to a number one. I think Mims can be a good wide receiver, but I don't know if he's a number one. I know for a fact Allen Robinson's a number one. So that's why I would love him. But
see, I know a guy like Fuller is available on the outside, and he has a lot of familiarity with Watson if Watson does come. But he's injury prone.
I'm talking about off the Watson train. I'm talking about off the Watson train because it's not certain. Well, I've been one to say temper your expectations on Watson because if it doesn't happen, well, we never had him in the first place.
Well, it's also been floated around that teams are calling about Sam Darnold.
Yes.
Do you think we're going to
be expected?
And I've seen that it's possible that he will be moved by the draft. Do you think we're going to move Sam Darnold? And what can the Jets get for Sam Darnold? I don't think he has number one value anymore, but I could definitely see a second or a third coming our way.
Yes. I really do feel like we're going to move on from Sam. I feel like we're going to try to get him to a good place. You know, the thing I said, well, you do good to your players just so they do. Yeah, just so other players know that you're a good organization. And I do feel like we can get A2 for him because it seems like a lot of people love him around the NFL. I know a bunch of Jets fans have soured on him. I know that. But it seems like a lot of people love him in the NFL. So I do think we can get a 2 for him. If not, we can get a 3. Definitely 3. So either way, I feel like you just get the best deal for Sam and you send him off somewhere else. I love Sam, but I just don't feel like things are worked out. And I don't know if he can turn it around. I feel like it'd be best for him to get a new scenario, new scenery.
I agree. And I'm not mad at Sam. Sam is exactly who I thought he was. honestly. I predicted this from the get-go. Great arm talent, good head on his shoulders, can make every throw. He's just turnover prone, and that's what we've seen from him. That was my criticism of him when he was coming out, and the Jets were going to draft him as opposed to some other guys. So unfortunately, I was correct for once about a quarterback. And it's sad that it was my freaking quarterback, but he's a guy that I feel, someone that you can send him to Detroit to go compete with Jared Goff. I think he might beat out Jared Goff in Detroit, or to,
hey, yeah.
He really might. I feel like he might. I feel like he's a better quarterback than Goff.
Yeah.
Goff fell in love with Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp was his butter and bread and margarine and everything, jam, jelly. He was Cooper Kupp. He was throwing the ball to him 20 times a game. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. But something like that. I mentioned the Broncos. There's a lot of situations. Atlanta's a great situation for him. You can bring him to Atlanta, and he has a Hall of Famer and a few good, and Calvin Ridley to throw the ball to.
Yep.
There's a lot of teams where Sam Darnold's talent can go and actually be used properly.
Mm-hmm.
So, the future, like I said, I believe with you, or I think Joe Douglas is a stand-up guy. I think he's going to try and do right by both sides. He's going to get a deal that's good for the Jets, but he's not going to send them somewhere to die. He's not going to send them to the worst franchise.
Yeah, because let's be honest. I don't know how many Jets fans feel about Jamal Adams, but we gave him a good ride. We sent him to Seattle. Everyone knows Seattle's a playoff team. We sent him to Seattle. We sent him to Pete Carroll, and we got a great deal for him. So I think Joe Douglas is going to do right on basically any of his players. It seems like he's going to do that. And I've just been more and more trusting of Joe Douglas as long as he's been here.
Yeah. Again, Joe Douglas has impressed me. And the future is looking okay for the Jets. But you know what, Dave? I'm just waiting for the Jets to jet. So we'll find out.
Hey, listen.
What happens in the future?
Things change.
Things change, but some things don't, Dave. And what isn't going to change is we're going to sign off on this podcast, and we'll probably see everyone in another 2 months, Dave. Any last words before we close out on our comeback show after our comeback show after our comeback show?
Last words are, I bought a webcam in the middle of this podcast. You might have heard me clicking. So it will be coming. And I will be having a webcam in order to do things with, and hopefully film podcasts with in a slightly regular occurrence.
Possibly start streaming?
Possibly. I might be doing that as well because it is a nice webcam.
Very nice. Very nice. Anything UFC wise that people need to look out for, Dave? A lot of good fights coming up. Conor lost to Dustin Poirier on the rematch. Poirier looks as bona fide of a challenger as I've ever seen. Anything coming up that Frankie is in fight week this week. Frankie Edgar is fighting this weekend. What can we look forward to, Dave?
Edgar's probably going to lose, but I trust Edgar, so I'm going to say whatever. He's going to win. I don't know. There's many good fights. We have 3 title fights on one card in the Adesanya versus Jan card. That has Nunes versus I can't remember. I think Megan Anderson. I can't remember her name right now. Mm-hmm. And also Jan versus Sterling on that card. That's going to be great. And then the month after we have Stipe versus Ngannou. And one more that I can't remember for some reason. But also, I just want to give out a quick shout out. Dustin Poirier is a very good fighter. If you didn't know that, understand that now. He's always been a very good fighter. He has had one loss in a long time, and that was to Khabib. So understand that.
Who everybody loses to.
Exactly. Understand that, 1. And 2, I just don't write off Conor yet. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not a good idea to write off one of the best strikers we've seen. It's not a good idea. On that note, I really hope we get hungry Conor back. Exactly. This Conor was too damn nice. We don't need nice Conor McGregor. We need cocky. I'm going to kick your ass because I know I'm better than you, Conor McGregor. Not this. I'm going to knock him out in 60 seconds, and then I'm going to be friendly at the weigh-in. No. We need the guy that tried to fight everybody at the weigh-in. We need the guy that grabbed his junk and looked at him and said, "For your wife when I'm done with you." Things like that. That's the Conor we need, because Conor needs to, I said it, that Conor, if he doesn't come back in the next fight, old Conor, where he was a complete jerk that we loved about him, he's finished because he has nothing to fight for. And that's a problem with guys when they reach the top, when they do things that no one's ever done before, when they become the biggest star of a promotion. Conor doesn't need the UFC. The UFC needs Conor, and he knows that. I get that. He
He doesn't have to win another fight to go down as one of the top 3 fighters in the history of the sport. So I'm hoping we get angry Conor. And I'm hoping he doesn't fight another guy like Cowboy Cerrone who's going to beat up. I hope he gets a challenge and he just whoops their ass.
I mean, he might get RDA. He might get, who knows? Who knows who he might get, honestly. I'm really hoping Dustin Poirier gets a title shot next, whether it's against Gaethje, Chandler, who I think deserves it most is Oliveira, Charles Oliveira, who no one talks about, who's a great fighter. Yep. But whatever. The lightweight division's amazing. Let's sign off before I keep talking about UFC.
I'm just calling for a GSP comeback to fight Conor, and then they both go off into the sunset. Done. There we go. I just got us the most money on a card ever.
He'll come back to fight Khabib.
I mean, I think he needs to come back, beat up Conor, and then have the last fight against Khabib.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. All right. So again, everybody, thank you for listening to Quest of Dose. Thank you for all that have stuck with us and have been looking and checking weekly for episodes and seeing crickets, because I think I'm just going to start figuring out a way to actually upload crickets onto our streams because we are inaccurate, but we both have lives. David works. I'm kind of a bum right now, but I'm still doing a lot of things. My hands are in a lot of different places. So thank you guys for sticking with us. I hope we still entertain you, and we're going to continue to do this because it's fun. But again, everybody, he's David Cuesta. I'm Alex Cuesta. We have a Twitter now at Cuestados. So don't worry about our own personal handles because we kind of suck at those. So again, everybody, really appreciate you for listening. We'll have a video hopefully next time. Have a good one, everybody.